Hello everyone, welcome to Prince on Air, and today we are going to discuss about the NCERT back exercise solution of solid state, that is the chapter 1 and that is the video number 2. Okay, and in this video we will discuss about the back exercise solutions. Okay, so last time we have discussed about up to 10 questions. Okay, first 10 questions we have discussed. Now we will discuss next 10 questions in this lecture, and that is the first question of this video. The silver crystallizes in FCC lattice if edge length of the cell is 4.07 into 10 raised power minus 8 centimeter. The density is 10.5 gram per cubic centimeter. Calculate the atomic mass of silver. Okay, so that is a simple question here. Only just you have to apply the formula of density. All of you know very well, that is D is equals to Zm upon A cube N A. Okay, where D is the density, Z is the number of atoms in a unit cell, M is the molecular mass or atomic mass, A is the H length, and Na is the Avogadro's constant. Okay, so here what they are asking you, that we have to calculate the atomic mass. Okay, atomic mass means M we have to calculate. So M will comes out to be D A cube Na upon Z. Okay, so density is given to you, that is this one. Okay, 10.5 gram per cubic centimeter into A is this 4.07 into 10 raised power minus 8 centimeter, its cube. Okay, and A 6.02 into 10 raised power 23. Okay, then Z for FCC lattice we are having Z value is 4. For BCC it's 2. For simple cubic it's 1. Okay, so now just solve this value, just solve this equation. Okay, and by solving this equation you will get 107.09 107.09 gram per mole as the molecular or atomic mass of the silver. Okay, so that will be the answer here. Okay, just I am giving you the calculation, you have to solve that calculation. Okay, if anybody is having doubt, you can put it in the doubt counter, that I will solve provide you the proper solution there. Okay, here we have to make that means I giving you just hint and also that solution, so that you can do that questions yourself afterwards. Next is, a cubic solid is made of two elements P and Q. Atoms Q are at corners of the cube and P are at the center. Okay, so see this, if we are having the cubic unit cell, okay, and cubic solid is made up of two elements Q are at corners. Okay, these are Q. And P are at body center here. Okay, now you have to solve that question, means what will be the formula of the compound. So for P, okay, P which is at body centered. Okay, so here we can write that contribution of its number of atoms at the body center is 1 and its contribution is 1. Okay, so it will be 1 here, and that of Q which are at corner, total number of atoms are 8 and their contribution is 1 by 8, so it will comes out to be 1. So ratio of P and Q it will be 1 and 1. Formula will comes out to be PQ. Okay, then now what they are asking, what is the formula of the compound, that we have done. What is the coordination number of P and Q? Coordination is nearest neighbor. Where you can see this atom, it is touching this. Okay, here also. Okay, so means 4 atoms or 8 atoms are touching it, 4 from top side and 4 from down side. So answer will comes out to be 8. So their coordination number will comes out to be 8. Okay, clear? Next is, niobium crystallizes in a body centered cubic structure if density is 8.55 gram per cubic centimeter. Calculate the atomic radius of niobium using its atomic mass 93 units. Okay, so through that you have to calculate the edge length, and from edge length you can calculate the radius. Okay, so do one thing you can do, that we have to apply the formula, that is D is equals to Zm upon A cube N A, and A cube will comes out to be Zm upon D N A. Okay, so for body centered Z is 2. Okay, and M value is 93, and density is given to you, that is 8.55, and 6.02 into 10 raised power 23. Solve this value now. Solve this value, and that value will comes out to be, I will tell you the value now. It will comes out to be 3.612 into 10 raised power minus 23. Okay, that is the value of A cube here. Now just how we can do that value, that A 3.612 into 10 raised power minus 23 cube root. Okay, so do that cube root here, and on doing that cube root you will get 3.306 into 10 raised power minus 8 centimeter. Okay, that is the value of A here. Okay, now so all of you know, for body centered R is equals to root 3 upon that, R is equals to root 3 A upon 4. Okay, R is equals to root 3 upon 4 A. So here R will comes out to be root 3 upon 4 into A is 3.306 into 10 raised power minus 8. So do that calculation, and by doing that calculation you will get 1.432 into 10 raised power minus 8 centimeter, which is the radius. Okay, radius of niobium atom. Clear now? Just calculation you have to do yourself. Now let's move to that next question. You can take that screenshot. Screenshot is not possible in your app, so do one thing, you just can copy that by pausing this video. Okay, next is, if the radius of octahedral void is R, radius of atom in closed packing is capital R, derive the relation between R and R. Okay, here we are having one, okay, that particles are there and one small particle is here. Okay, so now you can see R is the radius, you can say the radius of octahedral void R, and radius of atom means that will be capital R. Similarly, capital R. Okay, now clear, and that's of whole is small r. Okay, so now you can see this question here. If the radius of octahedral void is small r, okay, or radius of octahedral void is small r, and radius of atoms is capital R. Now we have to derive the relationship between them. Okay, so derive the relationship between them. Just we can say we can take any of the right angle triangle here, A, B, C. Okay, so here AC square will comes out to be AB square plus BC square. AC will be, that is capital R and that is also capital R. So it will be 2R square. Okay. AB is R plus R, capital R plus small r square plus capital R plus small r square. Here 2R square is equals to 2R plus R whole square. Here it will be 4R square and here it is 2R plus R square. Cutting that value, you will get 2R square is equals to R plus R whole square. Clear now? Is it clear now? So see that value here, and afterwards you will get the value of R plus R is equals to root 2 R. Root 2 R. Clear? And here small r will comes out to be root 2 R minus R. R will be root 2 minus 1 into R. Here R will be, value of root 2 is 1.414 minus 1 into R, and it will be 0.44414 R. So that is the actual relationship between these small r and capital R. So just you can do that. Okay, by pausing this video you can note it down. Once again I can explain you that all that things which is given we have written there. Okay, and we have picked out only a one right angle triangle from it, and right angle triangle we have applied that equation of Pythagoras theorem. AC is this one, that is the radius and that is also radius. So R plus R, it will be 2R, and here that is R, capital R and small r. So AB and BC are R plus R and their squares also. So just we have to do that calculation afterwards. Okay, and it will give you the relationship between these two R's. Okay, then next is copper crystallizes in face centered cubic lattice, the FEE. It's not FEE, it's FCC. Okay, it's FCC. Okay, now copper crystallizes into a face centered lattice with edge length 3.61 into 10 raised power minus 8 centimeter. Okay, show that calculated density is in agreement with the measured value of 8.92 gram per cubic centimeter. Okay, so firstly what we have to do, we have to just apply the formula here, that is D is equals to Zm upon A cube N A. Okay, so density is actually given to you, but we have to calculate the density once again, and we have to check out that density is resembles with this value or not. Okay, means which is equals to or nearby this equals to this value or not. Now for that Z will be, for FCC Z is 4, yes or no? For FCC Z is 4. M is 63.5 for crystal, okay, of copper. Clear? A value is given to you 3.61 into 10 raised power minus 8 cube. N A 6.02 into 10 raised power 23. So just solve this value and try to solve this value now. That value should comes out to be equals to approximately equals to 8.92. So that value will comes out to be 8.97 here. Which is approximately equals to 8.92 gram per cubic centimeter. So it both values are resembles with each other, or you can say that result, the values given to you, which that calculated value also agreement with the measure value, that is 8.92 in gram per cubic centimeter. Okay. Next is analysis shows that nickel oxide has formula Ni 0.98 O 1.00. What fraction of nickel exists as NiO2 and Ni3 NiO positive Ni2 positive and Ni3 positive ions. So that is the matter here. So just you can see actually that is the ratio of nickel and oxide ions. Okay, you can see that 0.98 means if there are 100 oxide ions, so there will be 98 nickel ions present, and between these there will be some Ni2 positive ions and some are Ni3 positive ions. Okay, so we have to calculate their fractions, the fractions of Ni2 positive and Ni3 positive ions. So that fraction we have to calculate here. Okay, so now let's suppose that value here in Ni 0.98 and O 1.00. Okay, so let us suppose that oxygen ions are nickel ions are 98 and oxide ions are 100. So the charge of oxide ion will comes out to be, here oxide ions charge is -2 and total ions are 100. So total charge will comes out to be -200. Okay, and here I am just supposing the number of Ni2 positive ions x, okay, and number of Ni3 positive ions, that are total are 98 minus x. Okay, clear now? Now the total charge should be equals to 0 here, because that charge is balanced. Okay, so that total charge should be equals to 0 here. So how we can do this? That value we can do by, firstly you can calculate the total charge for the nickel here, and that total charge will comes out to be plus 2x because it's carrying plus 2 charge, and here it will be 98 minus x into 3. So it will comes out to be 98 3s are, that value will comes out to be 294 yeah 3x. Okay, clear? So that value will come, and now we can just add these values. The total charge should be neutralized. So the total, you can say that molecule or you can say that crystal is neutral. So how the total charge should be equals to 0 here. So it will be plus 2x plus 294 minus 3x minus 200 equals to 0 here. Okay, so in this way, and that you will get minus x plus 94 equals to 0. So 94 equals to x, means x value is 94 here, which means that Ni2 positive x means you can say the number of Ni2 positive ions should be 94 and number of Ni3 positive ions that are will be 98 minus x, which is 98 minus 94, it will comes out to be 4. Clear now? So that ratio you know very well now. Okay, so afterwards what we have to do, their fraction we have to calculate. So the fraction of Ni2 positive ions, it will be 94 upon 98, and the fraction of Ni3 positive ions, it will be 4 upon 98. So do that calculation. That calculation you have to do yourself. So answer I will provide you, that answer will comes out to be 0.959 and it will be 0.041. Okay, so that will be their fractions. Okay, now clear? Is it clear now? So shall we move to next question? So the next question is, what are the semiconductors? Describe the two main types of semiconductors and contrast their conduction mechanism. Okay, so there are three questions in this one question. Firstly, we have to define the semiconductors, and then we have to describe their types and also their mechanism. Okay, so firstly, in semiconductors, okay, those can behave both as metals or conductors and insulators. Okay, and their conductivity range is from 10 raised power minus 6 to 10 raised power 4 per ohm per meter. Okay, so just you can say that those are having conductivity range from 10 raised power minus 6 to 10 raised power 4 per ohm per meter, that are considered to be as semiconductors. Now next question, two main types of semiconductor we have to define. First one is N type and second one is P type. Okay, in N type the conductivity is due to free electrons, okay, or you can say excess of electrons, and here in P type due to conductivity of holes. Okay, holes. Clear? So here they are doping, or you can say whenever we will dope 14th group elements with 15th group elements, so there will be one extra electron, okay, and that will show the conductivity. Okay, similarly in this case of P type, if we will drop the 14th with 13th group elements, there will be the formation of hole. Okay, so due to hole there will be the conductivity occurs. Okay, so mechanism I will explain in this way. See this mechanism. Firstly, for N type, okay, N type, if I am having that any elements or ions of group 14, okay, in which 4 electrons are there, and if I am considering only one element which is of group 13, okay, it's of okay, group 15, group 15, because it is of N type, no. So I am just considering it is the element of group 15. So it will have 5 valence electrons, 1 2 3 4 5, and that element is having 4 electrons, 1 2 3 4. So one of that electron is in excess, and that electron will show the conductivity. Okay, so that is the free electron, and that will show conductivity. Clear? Now if we will consider, that is for N type. Okay, if I am going to consider P type, and in that way we are having that group 14 elements that are in this way, and if I am just considering only one element that is from group 13, okay, group 13th, okay, which is having valence electron equals to 3, so 1 2 and 3, but here the number of electrons in case of 14th group elements, there will be 4, okay, that will be 4, but here it will be a hole. So that hole is the responsible for the conductivity, And how it will form show the conductivity? To occupy that vacant space, some electrons from neighbor elements or atoms will comes to and occupy that place, and then the vacant space or hole will created to the that point. Okay, for example, from here, or you can say here, that electron is coming to this side, here hole will generate. Okay, clear? So there will be the transfer of electron occurs, and also the hole is transferred there. Okay, or hole is created there. So it will look like that hole is moving. So due to hole, you can say the conductivity occurs. Whenever there is a conductivity due to hole, that type of semiconductors are known as p type, and whenever there is a conductivity due to electron or excess of electron there, that type of semiconductors are known as n type semiconductors. Okay. Now next question. See, non-stoichiometric cuprous oxide. See, non-stoichiometric cuprous oxide, that is Cu2O here, can be prepared in the laboratory. In this oxide, copper to oxygen ratio is slightly less than 2:1. Can you account for the fact that the substance is a p type semiconductor? Okay, so that we have to explain here. Cuprous oxide is the element here, and here you can say the copper to oxygen ratio is given to you, that is 2:1, or you can say less than 2:1. Okay, then so it will show p type semiconductors. Okay, means here what they are showing that less than 2:1 means 2 times the ions of, means that copper ions are less than 2 times the ions of oxide ions. Okay, clear? Is that clear now? Wait, can I explain it question in detail way? Okay, non-stoichiometric cuprous oxide can be prepared in laboratory. In this oxide, and copper to oxygen ratio is slightly less than 2:1. Can you account for the fact that substance is a p type semiconductor? Now they have given to you that this is a p type semiconductor. So here you can see, means cuprous oxide copper to oxygen ratio is 2:1, or you can say less than 2:1. So it means the 2 ions of copper are joined with the 1 ion of oxygen, means that will be that ratio is slightly less. Why? Here it is Cu1 positive, but some of the ions of Cu2 positive also present there, and which are just you can say 2 ions of Cu, 1 ion of Cu2 positive, just replacing the 2 ions of Cu2 positive, Cu1 positive. Okay, to just balance the charge. You can see that. Just think about it. Actually, copper to oxygen ratio should be 2 and 1, which means that copper is having 2 negative charge and copper is oxygen having 2 negative charge and copper is having 1 positive charge. So to balance that charge, the 2 copper ions are balanced by 1 oxygen ion. Now it's clear. Okay, so in that way, what they are saying, actually the ratio of copper ions are not 2 here, which is less than 2. Okay, so it means that some of the copper 1 positive ions are just replaced by copper 2 positive ions. Clear? Now copper 2 positive ions, how it will replace? See, in place of 1 copper 2 positive ion, there will be the replacement of copper 2 positive ions. Okay, 2 copper positive ions. Okay, in place of 1 copper 2 positive ion, there will be the replacement of 2 copper 1 positive ions. Okay, so whenever there will be the replacement, if I am going to make that crystals here, ions here, okay, and oxygen ions here. Okay. So if I am just looking that in way, so one oxygen ion is bonded with the two copper ions. Okay. So in this way, if you will look, that is of one positive charge and that is of two negative charge. If I am going to replace this one and this one and just placing only copper 2 positive ion here, so in only at one place the copper 2 positive ion can be occupied, but another place is vacant, or you can say it will create hole. So if it is creating hole, so due to hole you can say that which type of semiconductor will be formed? P type. So that was the question here. Okay, now clear? So how you can explain this? Here you can say that copper positive ions are lesser, and because of some copper positive ions, copper positive, two positive ions, two of copper positive ions are just balanced with one copper 2 positive ion. Okay, so many are there, and in that way it will occupy one copper 2 positive ion will occupy one of the copper 1 positive position, and another position will be vacant, and which is creating the hole. And if hole is generated, then that type of semiconductors are considered to be as p type semiconductors. Okay. Next is, yes, ferric oxide crystallizes in hexagonal closed pack array of oxide ions with 2 out of 3 octahedral holes occupied by the ferric ions. Derive the formula of ferric oxide. Okay. So now here you can see this. In hexagonal closed packing, what they are saying? Hexagonal closed packing array. Okay. So hexagonal closed packing array is there of ferric oxide. Okay. So let the number of oxide ions, let the number of oxide ions are x. Okay, let the number of oxide ions are x, and in that case the octahedral holes will be x also. It will also be x. Okay. So now as you know that 2 out of every 3 octahedral holes occupied by ferric ions. Okay. So 2 out of 3 octahedral holes occupied by ferric ions, which means 2 by 3 x. Okay, clear? So in this way you can say that Fe to oxygen ratio will be 2 by 3 x to x, and it will comes out to be Fe to oxygen ratio 2:3, means Fe2O. 3 is the formula of compound. Okay, clear? Where Fe is the 3 positive charge and 2 is, it is of 2 negative charge. Clear now? Next is, it is the last question of this session here. So classify each of the following as being either a p type or n type semiconductors. So that we have discussed, only one question is in between these two is a tricky for you all. So I just want to explain that in detail. So germanium doped in indium. Okay, so you can see this. First one is germanium doped with indium, which means if I am having germanium ions, or you can say that atoms, one of that indium is there. Okay, clear? So here you can see indium belongs to which type of which group? Germanium belongs to 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14 and 14, and it belongs to 13. Okay. So, in this way germaniums are having valency for 1, 2, 3, 4, but it is having 1, 2, 3. So, here hole will be generated, and if hole is generated, then you can say which type of semiconductor will form. That type of semiconductor will be p type. Okay, that type of semiconductor will be considered as p type. So, here when germanium, listen, germanium with indium means here germanium is in excess and that small amount of impurity of indium is situated into it. Okay. So, in this case you can say the hole is generated and that type of semiconductors are considered to be as p type semiconductor. Okay. Now, move to next part. Let us move to next part, that is of boron doped with silicon. Now, listen carefully, boron doped with silicon, it is not silicon doped with boron. When boron is doped with silicon means boron is in excess and silicon is as a impurity here. So, here you can see we are having boron and one silicon here. Okay, silicon is having 4 electrons, but boron is having only 3, and in that case one electron is in excess and that electron is of silicon. If excess electron is there, which will be creating the n type semiconductors. Okay, clear? So, it will be of p type and it will be of n type. Clear? Is it clear now? So, that is the end of this session, and I hope you liked it, the solutions, and maybe you understand that solution. If you any queries there, you can put it on the doubt counter, and I will try to explain in another way. Okay. So, thanks for watching this video and stay at home, stay motivated. Okay. So, thank you, and till then stay there.